All right, here we go. Let's get some more shares here. We got one of the shittens with me. I nicknamed them shittens, not kittens, because they're little shits. What do we got? Oh boy, where are we? This is titled Texas Experiences and Energy Work. Mark this as read. Hi Steve, my name is Alyssa Blackmon. I'm at the point in life that I don't give a flip what people think. Thank God. Oh yeah, I've always been that way. Haha, perfect. I live in Texas and have had experiences in 3 places: LaGrange, Granger Lake, and Cow Creek in Lago Vista, northwest of Austin, Texas. I do think it has a lot to do with vibrations, so to speak. I've commented here before that I'm in tune. I took Tutong Musil for 5 years, and my instructor was a grandmaster and monk. Here's a simple exercise for all if you wish. Take your hands, one over your head, palm down, and the other hand in a straight line with your upper hand, palm up. Close your eyes and breathe in your nose and out your mouth. Just get yourself centered. Bring your hands together in a straight line over your solar plex above your stomach. Stop there. Hands about 6 inches apart. You are pulling together all the energy points in your body. From there, rotate your hands where they are up and down instead of sideways. You should feel like a ball of energy. Now play with it. Stretch it out. Bring it back in. Rotate your hands. Get the feeling of it. Also, here's an experiment I like to do. Your key energy is also in your index finger. I use it while driving. If it looks like someone is coming in my lane or fixing to pull out in front of me, I point at them. It works more times than not. Got to practice that. Got to practice with what you got. Recently I moved to Gladewater in the country. I haven't been in the woods for many years as my hiking sister moved to Oregon. Lo and behold, they followed me or found me. From one of your video, there was audio. I played it for my brother who moved here from Colorado. He said, that was an elk, as a non-believer. I said, well, that is great, but there is no elk in Texas. I got a funny for you. One of your trolls was jacking with me. He set himself up. His first name was Dick. The only comment I made was an appropriate name. Okay, that's enough. What are you doing? Huh? All right. This is another one. This is titled. Oops, hold on a minute. Important for children. All right, you got my attention on this one. Hey Steve, thank you for all you do for everyone by reading the stories. I've emailed you before, but it was when you first started letting people email you, and I know you received tons of emails, so no worries. Email is about a past experience I've had, and I've had many. I'm emailing you today because this is about my daughter who's almost... Sorry, guys. What do you do? Can't be mean to him. The email was about past experiences I've had, and I've had many. I'm emailing you today because this is about my daughter, who's almost 3 years old. We live in northeast Georgia. We have a small acreage here, and our property connects to about 100 acres that no one lives on. Well, besides the Sabe people, I believe. We have lived here for 3 years and have a pond and creeks on our property. I've heard them speak, whistle, make grunts, and yell out when almost walked up on them one morning while I thought someone was fishing in our pond without letting us know. They have thrown pebbles at our windows. I'm also pretty sure they have been taking our eggs. Excuse me, we have ducks and chickens. 2 weeks ago, it was warm and really pretty outside, so after I finished feeding, I decided to go on a little walk with my daughter. My husband was inside sleeping. He works night shift. It was getting dusky, and we were walking back to the house on the other side of our driveway. Before the dam, we have an old small horse trailer. We walked over to it, and I put my daughter on the side of it. She was wanting to climb up there because she had seen the cat jump up there into the trailer running from the dogs. She wanted to go into the trailer, and then I did not let her because I was trying to get her to come into the house so I could cook supper. She threw a fit, screaming and crying. So I said, okay, well, Mama has got to go in and start cooking. I was acting like I was going in just to get her to come on. As I walked off, I was constantly looking back and speak to her, asking her to come, but she still refused. Gotta love baby tantrums, LOL. I walked about 15 feet from her and turned around really fast because she had stopped crying all of a sudden. She was climbing off the trailer and looked towards the road that goes behind our pond and started saying, hey, to someone. She started saying to me, look, you see? I ran up to her confused because I didn't see anything. She then started calling out Papa and kept walking that way. I tried to pick her up and she would not let me. She was persistent in walking me back there. I held her hand and she pulled me around the corner. I said to her, your Papa is not back here and Daddy is inside. She still is saying, hey, and waving at someone I cannot see. Then she starts saying, where he go, where he go. I got a really weird feeling. It wasn't like the pure terror, get out feeling. It was just, this isn't right feeling. I picked her up and started going back to the house. And she then started saying, bye-bye. We got in the house. I was still freaked out because she had never done that before. I just can't help thanking God for letting me turn around when I did. Who knows? She could have been on David Plies' Missing 411 or something. I know he has said in his videos that children can't go through the woods that fast or make it those long distances, and I know that to be true. She got off that trailer so fast, though, and I had to pick her up and put her on it to begin with. I know the Sabi are here and a lot of more places than people think. I don't ever let her out of the house alone or leave her by herself outside whatsoever. When she is older, I plan on explaining to her about these people and what I know because it is so important. I could tell you so much growing up with them I could tell you so much growing up with them and then having them here where I am now, but I don't want to keep you too long. I just want to express, like you do on your channel, how important it is to get the knowledge out and tell your children and your spouse and family. Even if they could care less or do not believe in them, at least you warn them. My husband believes me, but thinks that my imagination has played tricks on me. I don't care, though. I've told him everything that has ever happened, and we both agreed that we would teach our daughter about them. Good move. I pray over our property, our animals, and us every day. None of our animals have ever been taken so far, just eggs. We haven't had an aggressive encounter here either so far, but I still pay attention. Watch my surroundings and observe everything. Watch your children. Thanks, Steve, again. Hope this wasn't too long. My name is Brooke, and you're welcome to share this. All right, gotcha. Appreciate that, the contact information. And one thing I will say, Brooke, is that if you have information that you've accumulated that you feel the people will benefit from, please share that information, that knowledge with everyone through me or somehow. But share it. Don't harbor it. All right? Information that'll help the people, you got to get it out. Okay? True, honest information. Knowledge. Knowledge. I want it. I want it. Okay, this is a screenshot of a comment from somewhere somebody sent me. Sir, I have two 10-year-old twin boys that watch your show every time it is posted. They think you are the second greatest person to ever live. Oh, no. I asked them if they could pick one character trait of yours to adopt as their own. What would it be? Answer, to be able to stand up for what's right every time without being an ass about it. To be able to stand up for what's right every time without being as ass about it. Just be blunt and unwavering. Thank you. As a single mom, I worry about good role models in their lives. Their names are Xander and Aiden Tyus. Always remember those names because forever You have made a difference in their lives, and thank you. Holy cow, Donna, what a very kind message, and I hope those little boys are listening right now. Make sure you two grow up to share knowledge with all your friends, no matter how crazy it may sound, all right, you guys, and be brave. Always be brave and stand up and protect the good, all right? Thanks for watching. Thanks for the note. That's a different kind of note. That's actually, there's the screenshot. I guess you can't, I gotta manual focus that, damn it. All right, voices heard. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this sounded like this one was just going to be a rant, but it looks like there's an experience in it, so I better read it. Titled, You Don't Speak For Me. I was like, uh-oh, here we go. Hello, Steve. How many times does a lie have to be shared until it becomes the truth? I've completely had it with leadership in the U.S. and Canada, and honestly the world. I'm not confused. I'm not delusional. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a dying breed. I in no way give those leaders permission to speak on my behalf. You do not speak for me. Signed, the small fringe minority. Must be Canadian. P.S. We're not going down without a fight. We need a You Don't Speak For Me movement. On the other hand, Steve, you do speak for me, along with all the other suppressed voices that have had it with the circus going on all around us. I'll not just lay down and let my children grow up questioning reality. We both know there's only one solution for what is going on with those in power. Like-minded real men and women have to come together with the understanding that difference of opinion is normal, but core values should never be sacrificed. Those values do not just go away or change because talking heads say they do. They don't change because a corrupt media tells you differently. The values run through our veins and speak to us through our gut. Anyhow, I could go on for days pointing out the countless violations and get great satisfaction out of handing down sentences for said violations, but out of respect for the topic and all our time, I'll proceed with my experiences. All right. Everybody's granted a rant now and then. Growing up, I spent much of my summers visiting my grandparents and family in an extremely rural area in eastern Kentucky. You're American. The kind of place you could count passing cars each day on one hand. Beautiful farmland in the bottoms and mountains surrounding us on all sides. In the evenings after dinner, everyone would sit on the porch until well after dark. People would visit back then, such as neighbors and family members. One evening there was a strange vocalization coming from the ridge just above my grandparents' home. Something unlike anything I'd ever heard and clearly foreign to the adults as well, and the sound went on for some time. It was foreign to all, aside from my grandfather. I spoke up and asked what that was, and he simply replied, "Mountain ape." That seemed to relieve the tension for the adults and made them all chuckle. However, my grandfather didn't laugh. He was a fifth-generation logger. So looking back, I believe he knew the truth. Unfortunately, I never had an opportunity to discuss it further with him. By the way, the sound this thing made was not your typical whoop, but much longer drawn-out sound, almost like if someone yawned for 5 to 10 seconds. It's hard to describe, but unlike any animal that lives in those hills. I had one more encounter in the North Georgia mountains in 2020. I spent weeks deep in the Cohutta wilderness chasing blue-lined streams well away from the trails and other fishermen that hold the tiny native brook trout of Georgia. I spent days just hiking to a certain stream I found on the map that eventually led to the Conasauga River. Conasauga River. After slowly making my way into the seldom-seen country, I made my way up a feeder creek, more like a spring, facing the northeast. I was standing in a huge patch of ginseng, unlike any I've ever seen. I mention this because I often wonder if it's related to my encounter. I had that heart thumping, time stood still, thinking about my options moment that chilled me to the bone. My mind was on my 10 mil, but my hand was not, which is unusual for me. Not that I'm a trigger happy or actually draw down on anything and everything that makes a sound. I've encountered plenty of bears in which every time they are sprinting away in my area. More so, I have faced off with hogs and have a healthy respect for both. Neither of these animals strike that kind of fear. That's the weirdest chicken sound I ever heard. I heard one thud like a frying pan-sized hand. I heard one thud like a frying pan-sized hand slapping a hollow stump, and suddenly all kinds of rotten wood, leaves and dirt showered down on me. I never saw a thing, but everything in me knew I wasn't wanted there. I quickly made my way back to my base camp, and it was like I was in a completely different place. There was the usual feeling of being in my place, the real world, as you call it, Steve. The entire hike back to camp, I had every intention of packing up, but by the time I got there, I felt more sure than ever I should stay. So I did just that and never had another feeling like it. I quickly made my way back to my base camp, and it was like I was in a complete different place. There was the usual feeling of being in my place, the real world, as he called it, Steve. The entire hike back to camp, I had every intention of packing up. By the time I got there, I felt more sure than ever I should stay. So I did just that and never had another feeling like I did in that specific area. I haven't returned to the actual encounter site, but I've been within a half a mile on numerous other occasions with no bad feelings in my gut. I didn't tie my experiences together until I found your channel. I often wonder if people with a knowledge of wild plants and ancient medicines have encounters when they're in certain areas. I realize some regions and areas are more prone than others for sightings or encounters, but I'm curious if it's more so on specific faces of mountains, i.e. north, south, east, or west-facing areas. Just a thought. I even questioned if it could be tied to past Native First Nation people and their sacred areas. I apologize for the long email, but I try to give details and raise questions that might help someone else. Count me in with those willing to go to the end, no matter what. Thank you for your dedication and time, Steve R.C. Okay, man, thanks for the email. You never know if anybody wants to chime in on that. Hit it up in the comment section below this email, all right? And to all you people whose emails that I read here, make sure you skim through the comment section of the video you hear your email, all right? So you can get in contact with people who might be in your area or have knowledge of what you may have experienced, etc., okay? Okay. Well, what else do we have? All right, here we go. Gotta finish this off. And I got a lot of things to do. It's got a parcel in the mail, thanks to the Canadian government. Bought some new toys before May 18th, just like many of you should have. I have to deal with them and get them put away in a safe place. Now, that was mentioned on a previous video share. So I'm back, and I have another voice to be heard, and it starts with the title. It says, "What did I open?" Stephen has sent this email to your other address, and it was sent back to me. I possibly wrote it down wrong. Yeah, for sure, if it sent it back. But anyway, so I'm forwarding it on to this email address. Many blessings to you, sir. May the good creator of all things watch over you, Sarah, and loved ones. You too. Steve, I wrote you an email from my personal email. I'm asking you to disregard it. I was a little shaken up and went on a rant. Oh, here's a little more calm and cool and collected account. All right, here we go. I can't recall the other one yet. I wrote you back in spring of an encounter I had over Easter weekend, followed by an event that happened 2 days later. I had a Sasquatch appear and then disappear in front of my eyes. We had, I guess, what is telepathic communication saying, "We're not all bad." I then, of course, said back, "Well, you're not all bad." Well, we're not all bad either. 2 days later, I had what I could call energy light rods come through the trees toward my house, bounced 3 times along my fence line, then 3 more times toward me, then right past me. I went to turn around and was instantly stopped as if there was a big guy behind me. Well, now, it just got even weirder. August, we took a fishing crew of 9 of us up to our cabin here in Alaska. It's about an hour ride out of town and 55-minute riverboat ride, 25 miles up the river to our place. The last day we were there, it was first thing in the morning. Me, my sister, and 2 others, along with our dog, were sitting out on the porch watching the river go by, chatting. We then heard and feel this howl/roar. This sounded like 2 different vocal cords together, one high and another deep vibrating. This thing howls/roars 7 times as it walks towards us, then follows the slough and makes its way away from us towards the east. We never physically saw whatever this was, only felt and heard it. With all of us combined, we have over 100 plus years of hunting, fishing, outdoors, wilderness experiences between here in Alaska and Utah. Not one of us have ever heard anything like this. You felt it in the ground. And this is where I need help, Steve. Since then, I've started having what I can only describe as dreams, but they are so vivid, so real, that I remember sounds, smells, and almost feel as if I'm half awake. I know this sounds woo-woo, but this is very real, and I'm dealing with it. The first dream I had was a Sasquatch walking past a field along the right side of me as I was laying down watching the sky. I looked over to my right and could see the Sasquatch with brown hair, a golden amber hue around the outer part of the eyes, and a dark brown in the inner part. His hair was groomed and clean. It looked at me and actually smiled and kept walking. The next dream is 4 a.m. I was actually woken up and had my window open above our head with a slight breeze coming in. I heard what seemed to be a growl-like purring noise. It was so damned loud. It's what woke me up. I thought nothing of it, went to fall back asleep. As I was falling asleep, I actually heard this purring/growl humming noise again, yet I could feel it in my chest. Then I woke up around 6:20 a.m., but this time I was completely baffled as I remembered where I just was. Yet, was it a dream? It was a mother Sasquatch and her daughter. They took me to where they live. They actually showed me around, even showed me the different types of tools made out of wooden sticks they use. They also showed different plants and what they use these plants for. Then I woke up. But the strange part, when I woke up instantly like I was startled awake and what felt like a suction back into my body. I know this is out there, Steve, but I'm asking all the viewers for any knowledge and even the First Nations people as what this could possibly mean. I feel like there is something we're trying to be told or missing. I'll say the last thing I remembered, the daughter Sasquatch, who was half the size of the mom, said to me, "We are the same as you." Now what this means, I do not know. All I can tell is what has been happening to me since I had that first encounter last April. This is my truth. I'm asking if there are any others that have started to have this type of thing happen to them as well. I find fairly odd the whole Bigfoot community pushed away this huge aspect that these beings have an ability to disappear, mind speak, etc., and only bring forward the parts that make them seem like friendly monkey that we haven't discovered yet with intelligence brain size as a pea. Really? Why would they go to such lengths to leave this huge aspect out? What are they trying to hide? Even further, what the hell does all this mean? Are they trying to tell us something? With all these encounters, I'm starting to believe that they can manipulate energy and create their own portals or a vibration to walk between worlds. Edgar's story. If you remember, this being was doing what looked like to be jumping jacks as the bottom of his body started to disappear. Another man was on a hike and heard what was a loud crack-like bomb sound, and as he came to, he was 25 feet from where he was on the trail, and he had been knocked out of his own hiking shoes. I wonder if portals are something we can create ourselves by raising our energy and vibration. Is this what Sasquatch do? Remember the elder who worked for the post office and would ride his horse across a mass amount of land that normally would take any longer than a day. He said he learned this ability from the forest people but would not pass it down to the younger generation, afraid of it ending up in the wrong hands. That's all you do, sir. Keep kicking ass and not submitting to the sideshow the government's created to distract us from what is really going on. Take care, Steve, and take care of that beautiful girl, Sarah, and your fur family. I know we are headed for crazy shit show times. Stay grounded. P.S. Here's my personal email. I was seriously rambling, and I don't want to waste anyone's time or take from anyone that needs to be heard. Your friend from Alaska, Brittany Marie. Brittany, appreciate you. Thanks for sending that. And I'm willing to bet the farm somebody is going to reply to that in the email, in the comment section below this video, or they're going to email into me. And if somebody emails me to email direct to you, I'll be sure to get it to you, okay? And you guys all heard the big question she asked, so if anybody has the answers, please share it, all right? Share the knowledge. Share the knowledge. We are all we have is each other, and that is it. It's all we got is each other, all right? So make sure you share what you got, people. All right, here's another one. Next in line is titled follow-up email. And one more word to you, Brittany, on that email is, what was the word? What they just say again? We are all one, or we are all the same. We've heard that numerous times from various people who are not connected, of that being said to us. Numerous times. Just the sad thing is they're free and we aren't, right? They're in tune with the skills, and we are been tuned out of the skills so far. So far to date, follow-up email. Steve, the amount of people being helped by this channel is truly amazing. You can feel the sincerity and gratitude with every single share, and that is absolute truth, isn't it? What a group of people there are here. It's incredible. It blows me away every day. I've sent you 2 emails in the past. Both are long. I don't believe they have been shared. Doesn't matter. I listen every morning and I look forward to it. All the small details people share have filled in so many of the unanswered questions I had over the years. Things that just made no logical sense at the time. Every morning you post, it's like an adventure. As hearing people describe their weird scenarios and how they felt about it often brings me back to being in that same situation, confused as hell, with no way to really explain it to anyone. I agree, man. It is an absolute adventure. You got to crack open my inboxes with me when I do in the mornings. It's an absolute frickin' adventure. I don't know what's going to be there, but there's something every day. What I want to share is a few details that I forgot to mention. For instance, the whole dead silent thing that seems to happen. I often noticed it when I was hunting quail on our land. I often felt like there was a muted feeling to the surroundings, the colors and sounds. I could often still hear the stream if it was flowing, but it seemed muffled somehow. All the animals would be dead silent, and the air felt different. Like other details I shared, I could never figure out what caused it. Just noticed the effects and the overall feeling of the area when it would happen. I knew internally that the hunt was going to be a walk with nothing to be seen. Being fairly young, I just assumed it had to do with the weather, lack of wind, time of year, and maybe something out of my perception. Another thing I remember is when the one screamed at us, when a bunch of us hunters showed up in their vehicles at dusk. We had a hunt planned for the next day. First of all, what I didn't share in my previous email was the layered sound of the scream, like multiple octaves at once, very unnatural. I also distinctly remembered my great aunt telling us he doesn't like all the people here. The only person to listen to her at all, and apparently believe her, was Chuck and his son, who never even finished unpacking their gear. They just stuffed what they had taken out back in the truck and drove the 2+ hours back home. Chuck, before he left, said to all of us, maybe we should listen to her. Everyone else just shook their heads in denial and proceeded to explain it away any way they could, ignoring the crazy old lady. A denial. It's truly painful to me how many of these obvious clues were everywhere, and me just totally stuck on the puzzle for the most of my life. Like, how many effing clues do you need? I was lost in a sea of evidence, but since I never actually saw one, I couldn't believe in boogeyman or even begin to figure out what the hell was going on. Steve, I feel like this subject is a great analogy for what we are experiencing these days with Jab. It's so freaking obvious what's really going on. Yet most completely deny it. For what? Why? The mass psychosis has hit every corner of the earth. What kind of bullshit voodoo crap is going on? How can we break the spell? I'm serious. When I look at this, I can't help but make the correlation. How can we all be so blind? Yet I was to both for most of my life. Most people still are. I and another loved one have personally had serious side effects from other jabs, which is the only reason I woke up from that spell, but it took multiple life-altering, seriously scary occurrences to me and people I love to snap out of whatever spell they cast over my common sense. I just used some simple logic and thought for myself. little research, which was still possible, but for how much longer? If you think about it deeply, you realize we realistically aren't allowed to talk about certain subjects without getting attacked. Forget the bigger picture of why. How do we disarm the how? How do we make us deny the painfully obvious truth? To be clear and give a quick overview of most of the confusing happenings, my elders, the ones over 80, and had lived there their entire lives, told us about the wild men we didn't believe. Other neighbors told us about them, all stressed the rule of not going out at night. I heard slapping on the house almost every night around 3 a.m. When we slept there, I found countless footprints of various sizes, so often I lost count. Regularly, we would hear a wide range of obviously fake animal calls, babies crying, up barren valleys, screaming creatures, scary enough to send hunters packing. Most costly was access to the water, to the well water. Had to be left available or bad stuff would happen. More than once, the pump was broken when we locked the handle, culminating with a large shed being ripped whole vertically off the foundation that was built to protect the pump. When my crazy great-aunt left perfectly good food for them, the next morning something always was left in return. In the most defendable spot on our 166 acres was a small box canyon that no one in the family set foot in for over 40 years. And that same canyon was said to have a predator of some sort that lived in it, where bones could easily be seen piled up outside a cave entrance. The last people to set foot in it were chased out by something they wouldn't admit to other than it must have been a mountain lion that screamed at them. The same canyon I intended to enter on countless occasions and couldn't bring myself to do it. I very clearly heard, "You're not welcome," broadcast into my head every time I tried, and often felt nauseous even getting close to the canyon. There's more. But why wasn't this enough? Why did it take another insanely strange encounter over 30 years later to begin to figure this out? How is the spell broken? How do I help others, other than sharing my thoughts in this format? If this helps one person, I've succeeded. Thanks again, Steve. Keep up the good work, the rants, and calls to action, MJ. All right, man. Keep emailing what you got, all right? I've admitted before, I suck ass at going back into my emails, remembering that I need to go into my notes, find these names of missing emails, and search and find your missing emails. It's tough, okay, you guys? It's just tough. By the time I leave here, I go head first into 50,000 other tasks. By the time I get to the editing screen, I'm intent on getting what I just recorded edited, and then I'm finally done that, and then I got to get back downstairs and get another shit. So I usually forget. So, note to you, email me more of your knowledge. Do it, please. All right? And why is everybody under a spell? I haven't a clue. I really haven't a clue. It amazes me, absolutely amazes me daily. I just can't wrap my brain around how effed up the majority of so-called modern society is today. I just can't believe it. Can't believe it. Bruce Jenner's a dude. Sorry. You know, it's like I always say, today, modern times, when we are supposed to be the best time to be alive, and we're so smart and intelligent and advanced, and people are actually arguing over whether or not a man is a woman. In this day and age, a man won Women of the Year award, which is absolutely disgustingly insulting to our moms, our sisters, our aunts, our grandmothers, our mothers, who fought so hard for equality, and they're just getting spit and shit on daily by all these pricks with dicks who claim to be a woman. And the majority of the mainstream is allowing it, encouraging it, and shaming people who call them on it. That's just one teeny tiny example of the shit show going on. One teeny tiny example. It's amazing. Another quick note I want to make on that one is, call it a rant, call it whatever you want. I'm just dropping a tidbit. I'm pretty certain, if you can think for yourself, you would agree today that the people who are in the position of control in Western governments today are criminals. I am 100% behind the statement of that the people in position of being leaders in Western politics are criminals. So, take from that what you will, leave it, but for me, knowing that fact for myself, whatever they are promoting and delivering and encouraging, I look the opposite direction. Why wouldn't you? There isn't a criminal. Can you picture yourself being led by a criminal? When a criminal tells you that you should stick something in your body, you're going to listen to the criminal? When the criminal's trying to point out who in the world is the enemy, are you going to listen to the criminal? Right? The people who the criminal is claiming to be their enemy is their enemy, which is probably, I'll stop. I'll bite my lip. I'm just saying. The Western leaders are criminals today. It's unfortunate. There goes a stampede of horses. Oh my God, it's a shit show here. But anyway, I wonder how many people. There's a lot of people out there who are trying to get people to listen. They're trying to point out the craziness every single day. They're pointing it out. And I was jumping on that bandwagon a while ago too. But I'm at the point now. It's like, listen, if there's people in the world that have it in them to be independent thinking and listen and watch, they're listening by now. They're on the program. They're off the program, but they're on the team. They're on the good guy team. I don't know if anybody's being persuaded to quit reacting and start thinking. I don't know if it's even effective anymore. Is it? What do you guys think? Do you think that it is possible to clue dumbasses in today? I really haven't a clue. I don't know, because I try not to associate with dumbasses myself. But anyway, I'm babbling. I'm going to sneeze. Let me get another one out here while I'm right here. Oh, that is a monster of a book. I'm going to have to wait for another day to do that one. All right, well, what's this one? One more. This is titled, The Night Event That Parents Fear. Uh-oh. Howdy, Steve. Finally got your email off of one of your podcasts. All right, anybody's looking for the email, I think it's in the video description below every time. All right? I have a shareable story for you and the audience. I hope it'll educate and enlighten the subject. A little backstory. I grew up at the base of Coast Range in northwest Oregon. We had a small farm in the valley. My brother and I spent a lot of time in the thick forest above our house. So, I'm very familiar with the outdoors. In 2004, my wife and I bought a few acres up in the woods about 5 miles from my parents' farm. It was my heaven. We built a modest home that I helped design to cope with the hard winters. Our driveway was an old logging road that went about 150 yards from the main road, which if you did it right, you could follow it all the way back down to Valley where my parents' house was. I did it a few times, but I was always uneasy. You knew you were being watched. I took my cousin once and made him very nervous. There was another mobile home on the logging road about 3/4 of a mile from our home. In the 12 years we lived there, that rental never had anyone stay longer than a year. Past that was open private timberland, mostly Longview timber and